All right, so today I have a 4T60E on the bench we're going to be tearing down, and this is out of a 1994 Buick Regal. So this transmission, I believe, has a couple of problems. Number one problem is the car will not move forward or reverse until it heats up. I got to let this thing run for probably about 30 minutes. And then it'll engage, have a solid engagement, and we can move it back and forth. The second problem is this runs away on the 1-2 shift, and then it has no third and has no fourth. So getting back to the first problem with the no moving when it's cold, this has the input clutch on this transmission is on in forward and on in reverse. Also, the spray, the input spray, is on in forward and in reverse. And then you also have the band that comes on in forward. Okay, so being the fact that this does not move forward or reverse, cold pretty much would eliminate the band, and we're going to see what we find with the input clutch or the input spray. I think there may be something going on with the input spray, because back in the day, a classic problem, actually even with the Regals, back in the late 80s, that had the Turbo Hydromatic 200 transmission in them, would do the same thing. They wouldn't move cold, and then as soon as it heated up, it would take off and drive okay, and that was the spraying in the back of the unit inside the rear planet. Take it out, and it may look okay, but it was no good. So that was a common problem back then, and this is kind of doing the same thing, but the fact that this doesn't move and the input clutch and input spray is on in forward and reverse, I think we're going to find something wrong up in that area as far as that goes. So we'll see once we get that apart. Now, I think this also has another problem, and that would be the intermediate clutches are bad. Now, on this unit, which is a 4T60E, on the regular 4T60, which is the 440, and on the 4T65E, the intermediate clutch is the driving clutch on this transmission. So what that means is without second, you're not going to have third and you're not going to have fourth. And you know, one time I was driving, road checking a car, it was a 4T65E, and it actually skipped second and went to third and went to fourth. And the only time I've seen that is when on those transmissions, on the 4T65E, you have a solenoid brake valve, and that valve was stuck. And I've seen that a few times. So that's the only time I've seen it have no second, and the clutch is okay. But this one, on these units, again, second is the driving clutch. So this clutch is on in second, on in third, and on in fourth. And if it's no good, chances are you'll have no third or fourth. May not even have second. So that's what we're going to be checking. A couple of different issues when we tear this down. All right, so this 4T60 also uses a modulator, vacuum modulator that we can check. We had found when we first got this car and we were checking it, the hose was off. And when that happens, you will get hard shifts, bang, bang on the downshifts. And I think it was even causing a valve buzz because the pressure was high. All right, so I guess that's about it. Really not much on the outside. I want to talk about a fitting on this transmission that has been updated. On one of the one-way, has a one-way fitting in it, and it has plastic, like a cross plastic to keep the ball and spring in place. Well, that plastic likes to break, so whenever I see that, which I'm going to show you, it gets replaced with an updated fitting which has a metal brace in it. The other one is just plastic, and I've seen that break before too. So I'm going to show you that, and we're going to tear this unit down and see what we find. Okay, so let me get a little closer and we will get started with the teardown process. Okay, so I'm going to get the O-ring off first for the lockup. modulator, so we're going to take that out. And let me see if I can find my magnet. We'll get the valve out. There's an O-ring. Now, let me just get my magnet here. There's the valve. The earlier ones had a longer valve, but this is the later style. And you have a plunger here on the modulator. Okay. Next we're going to take the back cover down. All right, first let me get the lock ring off, because we're going to be sliding the output shaft out. All right, for the axle. And I took most of these bolts out just to make it go a little quicker. And these T40 bolts with the T40, there's 4 of them that go along the bottom. Alright, this transmission probably may have been worked on because it comes through with this gasket, but it really shouldn't take it. There is a metal one with rubber and metal. Usually that will go instead of something like this. But I do believe that gasket comes in a kit, but I personally don't like to put that one back. And then here is a O-ring. Alright, so we're going to get rid of this. Okay. So we have our 3 solenoids to shift, lock up, and PWM. Alright, so let's very carefully take these out. Okay. And then we have the temp sensor here. All right, now we're going to take the whole internal harness out. Okay, so here we go. Here's the internal harness. All right, I believe these are the 2 shift solenoids, PWM and lockup. I believe that's it. All right, so now let's take this off. We're going to expose the pump. These are 10s, yes they are. You got a couple of brackets there for the wiring harness. All right, one more shorty, and then there's a couple of this is nice and smooth here. Looks good. Take the vanes out. Okay, rotor looks okay. Let me just find my 8mm. There we go. Alright, nice and smooth here again. Pump slide spring, pump slide, everything looks good. You got a filter here I'm going to change, that'll come in the kit. Alright, now the valve body, got a bunch of different bolts for the valve body. Alright, we had a couple of T30s, but let's see if I can break these loose. Alright, some little rain today. Let's get these pins out. Alright, we got two 13s left. Okay. This one's just going to be a little tight also. Bad. Good. Okay. Alright, so this valve body should come off. It almost looks like there may have been water in this thing at one point. But that valve body should come off. All the bolts are out. Here. And it's really pouring out now. Alright, so we got some check balls in here. This side. Get these check balls out of here. Alright, pump shaft. This looks okay. The line-up dowel right here. And we got an orifice screen here. And if you leave this, looks like it's all clogged up. If you leave these out on like the regular, like the 4T60s, and might even go for the 4T60E. If you leave this out, this is an orifice screen, you may have lockup right on top of second gear. So you definitely want to put that screen back in. And then we have a couple of filtered screens here that we're going to change. Okay, going to get the manual, going to get the detent off. Disconnect the manual valve. There's the link. Alright, now we're going to take the channel plate off. Okay, looks looks like they're all tins. Let's see how easy these are going to come out. Have to get chrome set up for that. I'm gonna get my tin. Okay, and it's really coming down now. Okay. All right. So this got a couple of crystals here. One. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 triples in the channel plate. Let's get my magnet again. Got 1, 2, 3. This one had fallen out. It goes right there. All right, so let's take the channel plate off now. Sleeve looks good. Manual valve. These are like oil dams here. Okay, so this gasket, there's a common issue, and usually they come with metal gaskets in the overhaul kits now. You can take these dowels out. There's one, and there's two here. All right, so what would happen is these bolts that go through here, that go through the valve body and connect here, sometimes these bolts would come loose. This gasket would blow out and then you would get oil leaking out of the vent. That was actually a fairly common issue. All right, overdrive clutches. Bearing here, and we got an accumulator. Alright, this actually looks good. Not too much play in it. Got a couple of springs. O-ring on the outside. There we go, that's it. So when you put this back in, this goes in here, and then the pin is going to go through here like that. Okay. Axle seal here. Move this out of the way. Your chain looks a little loose. Probably put a chain in it. Alright, so these gaskets, take these off. Bottom one. Plastic washer. Alright, here's the fourth clutch hub. Sometimes these tend to strip out here, and these things get chewed up from the teeth. They used to make a, company used to make a clutch like kind of with a bent tooth. But, you know, they would make it so it would catch on here in a good spot, and you can use this over again. All right, I'm going to take the chain off, and you know what? There was a washer that was on here that is now in pieces. Because he told me when he dropped the pan, he wanted to service it to see if it would fix it, and there was a piece of a washer laying in the pan. Well, I wonder if that was it. Okay. Same washer here for the center support. cylinder, what's left of it. And just turn my light on. Alright, so now we're going to, pushing in here looks alright. Yeah, good. Alright, gotta see if we can get this reverse piston out, and then we'll take the low 1-2 band piston out. Never see. Pretty heavy spring behind that. Okay. Let's let me get the channel locks. See if we can get this cover off. Okay. Now, reverse servo. All right, now we're going to take the 1-2 band. Alright, we're going to got to give that a little help. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Right, here's the 1-2 servo piston, and that special pin from Sonics is going to go in this. Okay, next, vehicle speed sensor. Okay, there's that. All right, next we're going to take the extension off, and we're going to pull the whole setup out. So we got, looks like 13. See if this can get them off. Loose. Okay. Now we got to charge this battery up. Okay, so here we have a spacer and a bearing. The bushing in here extends now. The bushing, this usually is worn out, so this always gets changed. And we got an O-ring. Take this out. All right, this is second drum. Oh, this thing's got some major grooves in it. Wow, this drum is no good. This is the stovepipe or reverse traction shell. These clutches here, these are the input clutches that are on and forward and reverse. These things are wiped out, so we might find a torn seal. Okay, this is the input spray. It seems okay, but we're going to take a look at it. All right, reverse band. Stuck on there. All right. So what we're going to do is knock this, I'm going to knock this half pin out here. Let me just get rid of some of this oil. Sometimes they come out, sometimes they don't. So we can do this another way. All right, just give me a few minutes. I want to get rid of this oil. Get set up for that. I got to get a couple of scribes together. Give me 1 second. Okay. So I got a couple of scribes here, and I'm going to take this clip out that's holding this output shaft in, so we'll be able to get the final drive out. So let's see, and I got a rag here, so when it shoots down, it'll just get stopped by the rag. Here it is. This will come out. Sun gear and bearing. I want to check this out, make sure it's not pitted. Park gear, another bearing. Now we can slide this. This thing is stuck on a loop dam. Sometimes they come out, sometimes they don't come out. So let's just get it out. There we go. Okay. So here is the oil lube dam and the bearing here. Okay, coast band drum. There's the coast band. Now we're going to take the drum. There is a sprig in here. Regular, kind of like a 350 sprig. So that's going to be changed. These bushings are all going to be changed. This sprig looks okay. A bearing here, I got to get the center support. All right, 1-2 band, which is also going to be changed. And down in here, you got the sprig here, and down in here, you have another bearing. Okay, knock out the front seal. Seal. Now we'll take the pan down. A regular pan gasket. When there's no raised area, the pan is flat like this, I like to put a molded one. But again, looks like this transmission was probably serviced. Actually, it was serviced because he did say he had the pan down, and he found a washer laying in the pan. Filter, 1460, 1465, it's all the same. This was out. This is lube for the final drive. I don't know if it was out or if I just knocked it out, but it goes in here. All right, so let's get an 8. We got 4 bolts here. Take this off as one, or I'll leave it on there for now. Okay, so let's see. Sometimes these 3 can be a little stubborn to come out. All right, let's take the bracket off that holds this pipe in. Take this out. These, for some reason, get very tight. All right. Let me just give these things another shot. I'll try to even use a new socket on these. I don't get around to it. Now let me see if this will take that out. Got one that's real tight. Got 2. This one, I'm not having much luck with this, so let me just work on this one here. Let me see if I can find a new socket, see if I can get this thing out. Just give me a couple of minutes, I will be right back. Okay, alright, so I got it. I just put one of my biters on, and I got it. But what you may want to do with this is probably what I should have done. I like to hit them to see, just get them loose a little bit, and then if you have a newer socket that's not too worn out, try to break them loose, maybe with a small breaker bar or something you can get a little leverage on, just to crack them loose. That's probably what I should have done, but I was trying to hurry up with this thing. A little short on time, but I want to try to squeeze it in. Okay. So that is the piston, the apply piston for the coast band, and you have an O-ring right here, flat, kind of flat like B-ring. All right, now this will come out. All right, and there is, no, there's not one. Sometimes there is a clip here, and you got to be careful when you take the clip out because the thing will shoot out and you'll never find it. Okay, also, getting back, we're going to take the center support out now, but I had this hollow shaft here that I take out before. All right, so this is important. And we'll take a look at these accumulators. Sometimes they wear out, even the pins wear out. And this is that fitting I was talking about right here that has that plastic, bracket to hold the spring in. Can you see that? Let me just back out. Let me move the camera up a little bit. Because that fitting should be changed to where there is metal in there, a metal bracket to hold the check ball and spring in. All right, it's this one right here. This one is okay, nothing in here, but this one has a one-way. And actually, I'm going to take that out so I remember to change that. So I will do that. Okay. I'm going to find where the end of the snap ring is here. Okay. All right, snap ring here. Here's the center support of the park gear. All right, this is all nice and smooth. This bushing's that right on here. And your park gear rides in here for park. Okay. All right, so pretty much the case is here, except for this fitting. So this is what the line fitting looks like. And you want to look in here. If you see plastic, throw it away. If you see metal, you can reuse it. All right, case is stripped. Let me put you guys on hold. Let me get rid of the case and clean the oil up, and then we'll start checking these clutches and going through the drums. All right, so I will be back in a little while. All right, so let's start with the input and direct drum. And just to let you know, on this side, you have a washer and a bearing that go on with this here, and you got 3 sealing rings. All right, so these things are wiped out because they're huge things. Right. These things are going to need clutches and seals. There's nothing left on this one at all. And again, these are input, which are on in forward and reverse, so that could be an issue right there. This has the scent that there may have been water in the transmission at some point. All right, these are the directs. These are one-sided, so you have inner and outer teeth. All right, so we're definitely getting a banner kit for this. All right, now I'm going to pop out a washer, which kind of just pushes and presses in place. You can push it down with your hands. Now let's take this drum apart. All right, so I got an angled set of pliers. I'm just going to push down on the springs. Snap ring out. Need a press to put it back together though. Okay, snap ring, return springs. We got a molded direct piston. See, this feels very mushy. So that's gonna be changed as well. Okay, we got a lip seal. Now there is another snap ring. Okay, so both of these snap rings are the same, so it doesn't matter which one goes where. All right, this is the apply for that piston. You got return springs for this piston. And here, and if you look at it, you can see, yeah, there's like a little rust on it here, so there definitely was water in this thing at some point. And this feels very mushy. Got a little groove sometimes in here. which has a little groove. So let's take a look at the inner lip seal. First, we're going to take out a round one. Just get a little light in here. Okay, there's that, and add a lip seal for the forward apply piston. Okay, looks okay. The early ones would have long lip seals, and the lip seals would tend to tear or roll. But this one looks okay. But I think what we were dealing with this is probably a water issue. But it's amazing how after 30 minutes this thing would have great engagement for some reason. But again, this is your forward and reverse apply. I mean, there's absolutely nothing left on this stuff. Okay, so this drum is completely stripped down. And this is the intermediate for a second. This drum is going to have to be changed, and these two are pretty much wiped out down to the metal. I mean, this guy just really drove this thing until it stopped moving. Alright, there is a molded piston here. Alright, let's just get this snap ring out. Okay, snap ring. Turn springs. You got to make sure that you put this in correctly. Okay, so just look at it where it comes together. You know, if you look at it like that, that's the top, and the bottom just is pretty solid. But if you put this in wrong, it will not shift out at first. All right? And this thing, that one was mushy. This thing is hard as a rock. So just make sure that you put this in correctly. All right, snap ring for the clutches. The second. Let's take a look at this. And then I think that's really about it. Now also this race for the inner, the race for the low sprag, okay, it's not perfect, it's not smooth. So this race is going to be changed. All right, so let's break that apart. This plate should come, I believe it comes in the overhaul kit. It's molded gaskets and stuff, but they just give you the whole thing. Okay. Just want to make sure these are good. Make sure there's no playing the pins. They look good. I don't want to get these mixed up. Yeah, these are good. Yeah. All right, so this piston, I'm probably going to see if I can get one. This one actually isn't that bad, but I'll probably just sand this down a little bit. Sometimes there's a huge gap in it. And this drum is shot. These seriously deep ring grooves in here. So this drum is going to be changed. This race again is going to be changed. Let me just move this camera angle up a little bit. Okay, hopefully you guys can see there. And again, fourth. Change, bands are going to be changed. And these sprays I'm going to look at. But it is turning one way, locking the other way. You know, they're opposite. So this one here is a spiral lock that holds it together, and then you take the races apart. But this I'm just going to leave together for now. All right, on the channel plate, I want to make sure you sleeve. What is it? This rides in there. Seals also like torque converter oil and stuff like that. All right, so this is nice and smooth. So this is just going to get banner kit with pistons. I got to change a couple of the drums. It's going to get a chain. I think there was water in this thing, so we're doing the bands. And a typical, you know, like I said before, the bushing usually always wears out. You should change that. And you're going to go with the Sonic's pin for the forward band. And I guess that's about it on this 94 Buick Regal 4T60E. Again, this thing did not move forward for about 20 minutes. You had to leave it running. And then when it did, it made a 1-2 shift and ran away. So we've definitely found something pertaining to not moving forward and reverse, and something pertaining to running away on the shift. And again, second gear is the driving clutch. So what that means is without second, you do not have third or fourth. And check out these reverse reaction shells. I mean, they're making these different now, but they do wear out. Back in the day when the 440 first came out, they were made out of different material, and these things would strip out all the time. All right, so I got this unit cleaned up, and I noticed something when I was taking this center support out of the tank and blowing it dry. All right, this bearing that this sprocket rides in here, okay, if you can see this, okay, the bearing is up. The bearing is not flat or below the surface of the center support. Okay, so this is the washer that goes on it. All right, and when I put this washer on, I can tell that it's not sitting right. Okay, I can move it back and forth. It kind of rocks back and forth. It's just not sitting right. So what's going to happen is you'll put the washer on. You're going to put the sprocket and chains on. Okay, now that's in place. And now the next thing, after everything is loaded up, is you're going to put your channel plate on. Okay, so when you put this channel plate on and you bolt it down and then you go to spin this, I always spin the turbine shaft after the channel plate is on, just to make sure how it spins, because I've gotten caught by this bearing before and I had to take it apart again. But of course it's better than taking the whole unit apart again. All right, and I spin this, and if you have the bearing like this and you go to spin this, it's either going to be extremely tight or it's not going to spin at all. Okay, now this must have worked its way up. I don't think it came up in the machine, but it's possibly, it may have, because the water is very hot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bushing driver here. And I'm going to put this back down. Okay, so now we got it below the surface of the center support, and now this will sit flat, no problem. And then when you put this on and put the chain on and put the cover on and tighten everything down,
you're good to go. All right, so you got to watch this, and this is not only with the 4T60E, this is with the 4T60, the 4T60E, the 4T65. So that's something that you want to watch out for. So I did want to share that with you. And another thing, the modulator, I have my vacuum gun here, so to test the modulator, but I'm changing this because I don't like the large can ones. I'm going to be changing it to the small one. Okay, so I have this hooked up here. Now we're going to pump that up, and you can see it's holding the vacuum, so technically this modulator is okay. And then I'm going to release it. All right, if it wasn't okay, I'd get it up to about 15 inches, and then it would kind of bleed itself back down, and you can tell the modulator is no good. All right, so I just wanted to share this tip with you, very important. Again, once it's all together, regardless, I always turn the shaft with the chains just to make sure that it is good, and I don't have to pull that cover off again, you know, before the valve body and the cover and everything else goes on. Okay, so once again, 1994 Buick Regal 4T60E. We had a no movement condition for the first 20 to 30 minutes of the time the car is running, and then it moved. And then we had a runaway 1-2 upshift. So we found the input clutch, which is on in forward and reverse, no good. And we also found the intermediate clutch, or the second clutch, no good. And again, that is the driving clutch of the transmission. So that means if you don't have second, you're not going to have third or fourth. All right, guys, so thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you next one.